Here, who else would it be? This is a Bitcoin brief video for Friday, August 22nd. Hope you've had a good day. Hope you have a good week if you don't finish the video, because that's what I'll tell you at the end of this. We are going to take a look at the markets because the markets are going pretty well. A lot of people are claiming this is because of some commentary that Powell has made at Jackson Hole, and we will take a look at this and see what's going on. How does this change things? You guys know I was pretty strongly neutral to slightly bearish. I wasn't quite bearish in the last Bitcoin brief. I kind of mentioned that really that this marker here at the 112 was my critical range, which you can see we bounced off of. So we'll get into that, but we will talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana for this video. We're going to take most of the time talking about Bitcoin because I think it gives a relative context. Also, this is called a Bitcoin brief video, not an Ethereum brief video. So we will look at this. So starting off with Bitcoin. So first things first, you guys know, if you've paid any attention to my videos, you know the higher time frame bear divergences that I'm looking at. Really, there's just one, but it's an extension of the past two candles here. And we're about 9 days into this, and we'll see how this goes. Honestly, and we have to see how that goes. That's just how markets work. But so far, we're holding this zone. I was very concerned that this would actually close bearish for the month, and we still could. There's a lot of time left, but I think we could actually close bullish here. And so we'll see how this goes. That does not make the divergence better. Okay, we talked about this in the previous video, but there's 6 candles left to go, 6 months to go. Once this candle closes, we have 5 months left to let that play out one way or the other. So it's either going to play out as that we actually get the divergence, or that we are going to it's going to cancel itself out. So we'll see. This is a very key range. This is the only monthly time frame. So every monthly time frame when we've gone to highs like this, it has been the top. Or I shouldn't say the top because we had one here, or we had one right here, I should say. But we had a drop after that. And so that is something that I'm looking for. I'm not suggesting that this is a top. I think a lot of people are misinterpreting what I'm saying. I've had a lot of people disagree with me on this. I'm not saying that there is a top per se. I'm not going to be claiming there's a top if it is a top. I'm not going to be bragging about that wouldn't help me. I wouldn't make any money off that either probably. So that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is we need to be mindful in case there is a drop. And I'm giving you the bad news first. But the drop here from candle to candle, from candle closes was about 20%. And so I think that we could expect that even lower. It was closer to 27 or 30% almost. And so that's something to keep in mind. If we had something like that from candle to candle, it would be roughly 93,800 right here. And that would, honestly, that would be a cycle ending situation for me because of the layout of where this candle is. If we have a very large deviation, we have one on the daily, but we don't have one on the weekly. If we go below here, like if we go below 93.4, that's game over. So we're pretty close to what I was looking at. So that's going to be very interesting. We could drop all the way down that low, possibly. I think I want to make more analysis if we happen to get that scenario, how that would look. But that would be pretty 50-50 right now. So I want to be mindful of. Now, the higher we go, the more parabolic we will get, which honestly helps reiterate what I'm trying to say about maybe a top scenario. Again, I'm not saying there will be a top, but like the more exponential we get on a divergence, the more concerned I get, because that's just how technical analysis works. I'm not trying to fuel any fires. I'm not trying to piss people off. I'm just saying, like, historically, there are very few times in history where this plays out the exact way that most people on CT are thinking of, where this actually goes up 10x or whatever, right? And I say that while Bitcoin's up 4%, Ethereum's up 13%, 10%, and for hype, and Dogecoin. And this is where this plays out. Like, a lot of people are saying, well, it's because of Powell. Okay, fine. Like, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, but let's take that scenario. You should be very concerned that somebody can move the markets like that. And then also, too, like, most people are saying this because things have been bearish for so long, for this whole week. So you have to take these two different scenarios. Like, was the market bearish all week just to wait for a response from Powell? I've seen threads trying to compare this from every event from Jackson Hole. Okay, and so again, I'm not saying anything is true or not true. I'm just playing out what people are saying that I see. So you have to accept that the entire week has been bearish on purpose just to bounce back up today. Okay. And so if you claim that, if we go to the daily here, we are still below, even though we've had a pretty good day in the markets, we're still below where it was like earlier in the week. So what was the point of this? See what I'm saying? Like, there is no point. This isn't even a deviation, which we'll get to in a second. Like, this doesn't tell me anything except for a bearish retest at this local zone. And so if that's the scenario that you take, I still don't, like, that's not a brag, is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it's a brag that somebody maybe have called, like, things jumping on Powell's statement, because we haven't really gotten anywhere, okay? Now, Ethereum is up here. A lot of people are already saying 5,000, whatever, and we'll get to that in a second. But with that, you have to accept that scenario, is what I'm saying. Now, me, I usually tend to ignore events and kind of play it out as what the charts are saying. Like, this deviation, we'll go to the daily here. This deviation gave us an insight on how we could go back to the lows, and this was very simple. Like, I didn't need to watch the news to figure this out. Okay, we deviated from the highs. There was no reason for, like, there was no there was no news for this deviation. Like, it just dropped. Okay, and then we dropped down here. And those of you that are in my premium group, you know what I'm talking about. I always talk about deviations. When deviations tend to hit, they do tend to flip, and they tend to flip pretty hard. Well, your next option of area of bounce is going to be at the lows. Well, guess where we bounce from? We bounce from the lows. We actually bounce before the lows. We come back, retest the lows, and we bounce back up. And we get pretty close to a deviation, a divergence here. And so I can't verify that per se, but that looks pretty close. And so how I would interpret this, again, I understand the Powell version of this. I'm not dismissing it. I think if you want to make that comparison, that is a very solid comparison. What I like to do instead is just look at raw analysis. I saw a deviation. It hit the lows with the divergence, and it bounced off the lows. That's what I see. Okay. And so seems like the market is reacting overall. Now, you could lean more into the Powell situation because the entire market is going, not just Bitcoin. So I understand that. And I can agree with that, but I'm just taking a look at this because long-term analysis is going to favor, is going to be the best positioning to create favorable trades, because analysis, news can only take you so far. I've said this before. All these other things can only take you so far, and the analysis, the technical analysis, will line up pretty well most of the time. Now, you just got to find your edge and play off of your edge. Okay, for me, those of you in my premium group know that I had 5 trades open this entire time. I've only closed 1 of them. Okay, the other 4 are doing really well now because of this bounce, and part of that isn't necessarily because of the market. It's because with my analysis, my stop losses were in a place where it was comfortable being, even on a drop down like that we had all week long. So that's a little bit of insight. But going back to Bitcoin here, we got to bounce off the lows. As far as the analysis itself, got the bounce off here, got the divergence going into the mid. We want to hold the mid here at 116, 173. If we get that, we're good to go. I think we're back to a slightly bullish scenario. My only reason I'd say slightly is because we do kind of have a bearish retest zone right here. We're still underneath it. So really the marker for the bullish territory would be 117.7, but the slightly bullish would be inside the blue, and we should get that, I think. We'll see where it goes. We still have 5.5 hours left, so we have plenty of time for this to go any which way. And if it comes back below, then we're still fighting for the bearish retest, and this still can play out. If it does go into a bearish retest zone, our new level is down here. The midline is going to be 106.3. Okay, and danger territory is getting into this larger blue, darker blue area at basically 100. I've said if we we go back to 5 digits, we are in danger. And I still think that's the case. I'm not necessarily bullish here. I'm optimistic, and my longs in my group do reflect that. But as far as Bitcoin goes, I think this could go either way. I think also importantly, I think alts could do well. We'll look at Bitcoin dominance as well. As far as this goes, we had an Aaron bearish cross. We had a high bearish cross as well. So this still could play out. The momentum is still in favor of the bulls here. This is why I'm not disregarding this retest, because this still could play out negatively. A lot of people are excited right now, and I think some people aren't really that excited because I think they were sidelined. I know a lot of people that got sidelined off of Link, and I'm still in Link. That's one of our trades and it's doing pretty well. But a lot of people are concerned about that, and my answer to you, if you are concerned about that, is don't get too ahead of yourself, because next week may change. Next week could be bearish. If we get the bearish retest, this doesn't change anything. Okay, Powell's message didn't change much, or this could be. A lot of people are saying, well, now it's max long for 3 weeks, and then sell the FOMC news, or the opposite, like, oh, sell now until FOMC, and like people are saying it's priced in, people are saying it's not, and then the people that said it is priced in are now saying it's not priced in, and so it's like everything keeps changing at every moment, and it becomes really exhausting, honestly. For one, two, everybody assumes that they themselves are the best interpretation of this matter, and if you are the best interpretation of that matter, like, you should be able to get a job at Morgan Stanley or something like that, no problem. Okay, and so that's why I also take the analysis perspective. It's a much easier approach. You don't need to be an expert at it. Everything's going to be kind of vague anyway, so you might as well rely on something that you can backtest versus something like because you can trick yourself to be bullish. You can trick yourself to be bearish. You just need to look at what the charts are telling you. And I understand that's boring. There's no fluff. I get good comments that I'm a very I'm hyper reasoned. Like my charts, I tend to focus on reason, low and grounded in a good way. But I also get the impression that I'm boring and things like that. And I'll be boring. I don't care, because at the end of the day, my bank account's not boring. Okay, so that's where I'm going to play into that. So another thing too is the RSI is getting above 50, so the momentum's coming in favor here pretty well. So I think that's worth some importance. Not much commentary with that. The key notes for this is we are above this midline level at 112.4. We're hitting above the bullish level here at 116. If we can hold that, it's good. If we can hold above 117.6, that's even better. I do want to go to the 4-hour really quickly here. This is quite a big jump. Now this could cause some bullish engulfing, like right here, because you had one level, two levels. So when you go above the highs of each level, you only want to go one at a time. This is very similar to like ice hockey in America. Like, you could go off sides. If you go across 2 lanes at a time, you're off sides. Very similar to that. And I say that because I want you to remember this. Because if you go 1, go 2, we do tend to snap back like that. And so a good example on the downside is we went through 1 level, 2 levels here. So we should come back up to 118, okay? We tend to do that quite a bit, and I want to give it an example, but I don't think I can, not currently. I've talked about that quite a bit anyway, but good pump up here. We need, again, nothing's changed. Need to get above that 107 or 117.7, 107, 117.6. There's a lot of numbers now. A high bullish cross at a 100%. We don't get that very often. That's a sign that bears really have a chance to demolish the bulls, or the bulls have a chance to demolish the bears right now. Looks like they're doing it. Just need to get that follow through, and we're good to go. Let's go to Ethereum. So I want to work on a clean chart here, and monthly is just looking great. Like, if you just look at the past 4 months, it's like 166%. That's pretty good. I don't think a lot of people anticipated that much of a run. Just completely blown it out of the water. We're above the monthly level here as well, and so that is a key importance. If we can stay above that, I think that we're good. We're going to run it. Ethereum is one of my positions in the portfolio as well. And so our portfolio is like double, by the way. Like this is a live portfolio that I do with real money, with real setups, entry, exit, things like that. That alone is worth the price of admission, in my opinion. But I do offer other things like bots, videos, and things like that. So I'm not trying to plug, but I guess I will. So, but with that, if we can hold a monthly, looking extremely good. This is a good level too, because right here, it closed just below the breaker level, and then it went above it. So this is a clean play. There's no breakers here. This is a good sign that alts may run. Okay, and Ethereum's already up 13% here. I will go to the dominance chart here in a second. We are in danger of getting a divergence here. I would like this to retrace a little bit and then kind of consolidate for the weekend and bounce up next week. I'm not saying that will. That's just my preference. I will go back to the weekly because I did miss it here. And so we're getting above the zone. Basically, same situation here. If you're interested in longing at Ethereum, the best option would be just to long this at the weekly. And then you could put your stop loss probably right here at the low, because usually when you break up a zone, when you break above a zone like this and you have a wick like this, very rarely does it come back straight to that low. It usually takes a few candles to do that, if it does. And if it does come back down immediately, that's a deviation. It's time to get out anyway. So this is a really good level here where you could do a spot long. Let's say you want to target like 7.6 or just 8,000 or whatever. A lot of people don't think we're going to get that high, which is weird because there's a lot of bulls that are like really bullish right now, but they're not bullish enough to like go up to 8,000. I'm like, that's not even 100% from where we're at. Like, you're not a bull if you don't think in at least 2x minute, like, or even 10x. I'm not saying it's going to go to 70,000 or something, but or 40,000, but maybe it will. But we'll see. But this is a good. I think this is a fantastic level if you're looking at from a spot position. Very clean. This might be the last time you get a level like this that's this clean, and that's why I did not get discouraged with the drop as much as I wanted to, because this is your chance to reclaim some levels here and to get in for the long haul, possibly for the last time ever. So we'll see. But I quite like Ethereum right here. 4 hour, a little bit of insight here. I think this is clean, but I think this might hold below the 4.7 marker. I'm not sure. I'm not interested in Ethereum right now. I would wait for the weekly close and then add some extra spot for that. So Solana is next. Now Solana, I've talked about pretty, how should I say this? Pretty sternly that I think it's been relatively boring, but we had a pretty good push up here. How much is this on the daily? Like 9%. So it's doing pretty good. It got a pretty good recovery. I think this zone is really the level we're looking at, like $200. You have the C fork situation going up. You almost have like a third trend line level. So it's starting to kind of propulse itself upwards. Maybe that breaks out, maybe it doesn't, but this level, this highlighted level is probably what I'm looking at. Just a break of this level would be good to go. If we can get above the 200, I think I would wait for the 200 marker here, and then just kind of wait for this to go higher. Something like 200. Stop loss at wherever you want, really, and something like this. That's abstract. I'm not saying this particular trade, but that's the scenario that I'm looking at. I don't really like ascending triangles lately. I actually have seen a lot of them fail recently, and so I just get some PTSD from that, I guess. But that's why I want these to play out. This is not a situation where you buy now. It's very similar to Ethereum. You want to wait for that level to hold. That's why I'm a big fan of daily closes, because you get that confirmed insight instead of it going up, breaking out, and then coming back below, which it tends to do quite a bit. That's the whole point of wicks, is to kind of fake you out. So anyway, it's still a wait for Solana. It's a bullish. I'm bullish on Ethereum. I'm neutral to slightly bullish on Bitcoin. So anyway, that is the Bitcoin brief video. I appreciate you watching. If you're interested, check my link for my Patreon for my premium group, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.